Welcome back to Builds Not Projects. In today's video I'm going to be working on the Honda Odyssey build. I'm going to be doing front suspension, so it's time for some big upgrades on the front end of this thing. I'll explain that here in a minute. Please hit the like and subscribe button if you already haven't, and stay tuned. Alrighty guys, so the Odyssey is going to be getting some big upgrades now. It's getting new front suspension. This is some suspension I picked up off of eBay. It is 2002-ish Honda 400 EX front suspension. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be making this stuff go on the front of the Odyssey. We'll get started on that. What I've done so far is I cut all these pieces of angle iron, just this scrap stuff that's too rusty to really, I'm not going to really ever use it for anything, but cut these to use as brackets. So the first hole is about 12 inches off of the ground, which actually just happens to be about the same height as the frame rail right now. So it's not going to change the height a whole lot just on the suspension. And then these other two holes are 6 inches apart to get the spacing correct for the A-arms. 6 inches is going to be pretty dang close to where I need it, so that's what I'm going to do is I'm going to mock it up for 6 inches, and then what I can do is I can bolt these onto the A-arms, and then that way I can hold the A-arms exactly where I want them. I can have something else I can tack to these, so I can get the camber and caster and everything how I want it. And then what I can do is I can build tabs. So the way I'm going to mount these on here is I'm going to put them on this way, and then the bolt will go through from this side, and then that way once I get the frame built where I want it, I'll be able to build a tab for this side, and then I can so that way I can leave these on, leave all the suspension bolted on, I can build the tab so it fits in there perfect, and then once the one side's built, then I can pull it off and then build the other side, run the bolt through from the other side, and then build this side to match. So we'll get started putting this stuff on. What I'm gonna do first, get these all bolted together, and then I can start cutting all that other front suspension off. If you notice in the video of me driving it at all, I don't remember, but this one left side tire locks up. It hits the frame right down in here. The reason it's doing that is because this here is bent back. It's not where it's supposed to be. So I think that might be part of the reason why this thing turns so terribly right now. And it hits the frame and locks up the tire, and this front suspension is just completely shot. It is from 1980-ish. When I push it down, it doesn't even rebound, but we'll get all this stuff going. I've got some new DOM 1.5" round tubing to get that frame built there, so we'll get started. Okay, so I got the little frame built. I built that just out of some scrap angle to hold the front suspension in the correct angles and hold it where I want it. And then that way I can start building the tubes to mount it to. That's about how high off the ground the hub will be with the tire on it. So I'm going to start getting ready to start building tubes. I think I'm going to end up redoing this whole roll cage. I just don't like the way that it is, and I think I'm going to redo it all. I think I'll just cut it all off right at the frame, cut off these side pieces, cut off the main hoop, and then I'll just redo all of it, do a new harness bar and everything, redo the front end. So we'll get started. Okay guys, so that frame is off of there now. I pulled it all off because it's pretty dang sketchy, not really that safe. This back piece is very rusted down in through here. This side's all bent, and they're just real rusty, and just I didn't like it. It needed to be wider, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna build a wider one now. Okay, so after I screwed up the first piece, I did a whole bunch of cardboard and Sharpie math over here because I haven't got a program to do the bend degrees and all the calculations for me. So I sat down, finally figured it all out, with how much material was going to be needed in the bends and where the clamp blocks needed to go to be able to bend. So here's what I ended up with: 60-degree bend at the beginning, and then 2 75-degree bends for the top piece, and then another 60-degree bend at the other bottom. After I got all that figured out, then I went through and bent this one. I built these little pieces of solid round stock. I just cut them out. They're just 3/4 inch round stock. That way, as I'm moving the clamping block around, I have something to hold this 3/4 of an inch off the ground. So that way, because the clamping block, the edge of it here is 3/4 of an inch, and then that way when it's laying flat this way, I can hold the rest of the metal up 3/4 of an inch to keep it as flat as I can. I only ended up with the very start, ended up a little bit goofy. Other than that, it turned out pretty dang straight. Now I gotta cut, I'm gonna end up cutting a 45-degree angle here, and then the same on this side, but I gotta trim this side first. Trim this side up to here, and then cut it at a 45-degree angle as well. But I'm out of time for today. I got some other stuff I gotta do, so that's what I got done so far. Got this thing all stripped down, got the suspension. I tacked the frame that I built to hold everything. I kind of just tacked it to the existing frame so I could take the jack stands out. So that is all tacked where I want it for now, at least as far as what I think where it's gonna be. I had to trim the fiberglass a little bit to get it to clear. So that's all on there. Then I was using jack stands to kind of position this so I could take some measurements and kind of figure out where I wanted this bend. So I ended up trying to go 8 inches from the bottom of the frame rail down here to the outside of the bend and then up. So get that bar is getting done there. It'll be a little bit wider than the other one, which will be nice. It'll kind of come out a little further. I don't want to necessarily, this thing isn't necessarily trying to be a death trap. I'm trying to kind of make it to where at least it'll be safe, or safer if it rolls, because the other frame was pretty dang sketchy. So I'm gonna add in another bar here, kind of where this one is, and then it's gonna come in, and I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna curve it in and run in for the suspension mounts, and then probably wrap it back around and do a front bumper kind of thing, and tie it down in the frame as well, and probably tie in across here some too. We'll coming together though. It's going to be a lot better. Getting some big upgrades. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned.